Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Curiosity Talks. Nice to see so many of you again. Those of you who are new here, a warm welcome to you. So, at WisdomCircle, we believe experienced professionals don't retire from work. They transition into a new phase of purpose, contribution, and growth. In a world where such transitions become the norm, the ability to stay curious, reflect, and open to new possibilities is critical. And is exactly what our curiosity talks are designed to do. Spark new thinking, introduce fresh perspectives, and create a space where members can explore ideas beyond their immediate experience. Together, Curiosity Talks and this class series reflect Wisdom Circle's core purpose, creating an ecosystem where seasoned professionals not only discover new possibilities, but are also supported in turning these possibilities into meaningful, well-designed next steps. And that's why we bring to you a two-session series of Designing Your Life, with the first session being Demystifying Stanford Life Design Framework, and session 2 being Visualizing Your Multiple Futures. Through this series, led by a Stanford certified life design facilitator, coach, and educator, Navyug Mohnot, Wisdom Circle continues to create spaces where our members can reflect, reimagine, and actively design their next chapter, reinforcing our core purpose of enabling meaningful second careers and lifelong engagement. A passionate advocate for design driven by the belief in transformative power, Navyug sees endless possibilities and exciting future for individuals and organizations. As the only Stanford-trained Designing Your Life educator, certified DIY coach, and facilitator in the world, he is committed to bring this impactful work to those of all ages. Navyug is the CEO of QAI, a transnational process improvement consulting organization, and the founder and CEO of QGlue, a design consulting, coaching, and training firm. And IIT Delhi alumnus, he went on to complete his MS in the USA. And while pursuing a PhD in the US, he decided to return to India in the early stages of the IT revolution, driven by the deep commitment contributing to our nation's growth. He is a Harvard leadership coach and on the board of several companies, has played leadership roles in TIE and he runs and aspires to direct a feature film while maintaining a dedicated meditation practice, a deep appreciation for artistic expression across media. Welcome Navyug and his team, Curiosity Talks, and hand over the session into their very, very capable hands. Over to you, Navyug.
Thank you, Swati. Thank you, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, looking forward to this 1 hour with you. I have my colleague Ria as well. Ria, you can wave.
Hi.
All right, so lovely. Let's jump right in. We have some short time together, so I'm going to go right in, folks. We've planned this as a two-part series. We'll get started today. At the end of it, we'll share some readings, resources, including some homework, not mandatory, but should you find this interesting and want to prepare for the next session, there'll be some homework at the end. So with that warning, I'm going to jump right in. So welcome once again, and as I'm sure the title piqued your interest as it did mine many years ago, Designing Your Life. What does that even mean, and how can one design one's life? And the fact is that we are all life designers. We already are. And we've come to where we are at, a series of choices, lived experiences, discernment, decisions, sacrifices, the works. And when I came across Stanford's life design framework, I found it not just very, very wholesome, evidence-based, and rooted in social science, but also something that resonated with my own personal lived experience over this whole trajectory of life. So here I am. I've been engaging with them. We've been now teaching this year, and I'd like to, and I invite you to take a look at the Stanford's life design framework. We're going to cover a few things today, which is largely around the bigger picture and the mindset and feeling unstuck and ways to feel unstuck. And in the second session, we're going to shift gears towards creative confidence, ideas, and possible journeys and thought experiments for our lives going forward. So there'll be a little shift in gears. Today, let's pause, let's reflect, let's look at what's holding us back, let's understand the framework. And I'm going to keep going and I'd love to do a lot of questions, but because there's a large audience and in the interest of time, we'll keep Q&A in the end if that's okay. In between, we'll have a few reflections and exercises. If you have a pencil and a piece of paper handy, that would be really good, or at least some writing instrument. And every now and then, I'll prompt you to put things in chat. So these are some of the ground rules. Welcome once again, and thank you. Many of you responded and gave me feedback on the form. It's interesting to see, and not surprisingly, given our experiences with lots of people, that what kind of stuck are you? A large majority talked about purpose stuck and clarity stuck. I think designing your life helps move towards that, in that direction. In terms of what would you like or where are you at, people, a large percentage said to pivot to something new and get into the second act of life. I am in fact in my second act of life, and I'm not going to take a long time telling you my origin story, but I totally relate to all that I read. I've gone through that myself. And designing your life framework not only served me in this transition period and this pivot in my life, looking back, I think it applied in equal measure over the formative years of my life and building the enterprise and getting here to where I'm at. So it kind of applies across the board. So whether you're in retirement and would like to look at life, so there's a greater sense of well-being, whether you're in retirement and want to come out of it and looking for ideas, whether you're in the transition period, what we call the liminal phase, or whether you're considering and wanting to pivot and you're not anywhere near that, but you're in that mindset that you'd like to pivot from your current. So it applies everywhere. We've had lots of use cases where people have used it everywhere. So welcome. With this as a preamble, let's get started. Okay. Right. So I'm going to start with very quickly. This is a poster at the Stanford Design Department. And I'm going to invite you to put in the chat what do you think this means to you right now. And we'll try and keep this interactive. You may even just unmute in just a few of you. What is this? You are here. What does that say to you? And you want to put it in the chat or you want to just speak it out. You are here.
At
And I
the
want to,
starting point.
yes. So there's a starting point. Lovely. Thank you. Others, what does this say to you? And this is physically present in the Stanford Design Department. But what does it say to you?
So some from the chat. It's your current place, open to
Okay.
explore,
It's your current
location,
place, open to explore. Okay, nice.
an arrow showing direction,
An arrow showing direction,
starting point.
starting point.
You at the current stage shaped by your lived experiences.
You're in your current state. Okay, nice. All right.
Accepting where you are right now.
Accepting where you are at right now.
This is the moment.
This is the moment. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. We're getting warmed up and everyone, everyone's starting to chat and lovely. So thank you and all absolutely amazing reflections and I'll tell you from the designing your life perspective where they are coming from. So what what we're saying here is that you are here. There is no could have been somewhere else. There's no should have been somewhere else. There's no, oh, it's too late in my life. Oh, it's still too early to do something else, age notwithstanding. We start from where we are at. And when we design our lives or we design our way forward, we start from where we are at. We are here and we're going to build from here. We're going to design from here. And we're going to try and shed all the could haves, should haves, that we were early, that we were late, and all the other stuff that all humans and all of us tend to carry, and we still do, and I still do, and I'm sure we all do. But the essence is this is where we are at, and we're going to build from here. All right, folks. So this is um I'm 64 in my life and in all of yours to young Ria. This for all of us, it's true that this is the first day of the rest of our lives. So what if we could treat this as the first day of the rest of our lives? Because it is. And Confucius rightly said, and we disagree, but I'm saying rightly said, that we all have two lives. And we realize that we have two once we know that we have only one. So we realize we have two lives once we know that we have one. The second one starts when we know we have one. In designing your life, we, in some respectful way, disagree. We say we have multiple lives within us, all waiting to be expressed, and so it's not just about two lives, and the second one starts when we realize we have one. But our whole attempt with this framework is to imagine and visualize multiple lives that are within us, and then to use the framework to see which one we want to express, and in this stage of life, and given all the other tools and reflections, which one we are going to move forward with, and I'd also dare say which one, but which set of lives we're going to build. So why should it only be one life? Why can't we simultaneously live multiple lives and express? So welcome to that journey. Here's another quick prompt I'm going to give you. Over the next slide, I want you to take a look and tell me what you see and put it in the chat. So the prompt is, what do you see? Reflect for 20 seconds. Here's the prompt. So in the chat, no right answer, no wrong answer. Don't over intellectualize. Just put in the chat what you see here.
So we've got red spot.
Red spot.
Japan is calling.
Japan is calling. Lovely.
Bindi.
Bindi.
A target.
Target.
Center. Goal.
Center. Goal.
Dot.
Dot.
White space with a red dot.
So let's stop here. All right, everyone. So what we saw that clearly everyone saw this differently. We are the product of our experiences and our upbringing and stories and narratives and imagery and everything else. So we see things differently, which is fine, which is obvious, and we all know that. Why we start with this is because I'm inviting you to all look at not just the dot, and we typically do all focus on the dot, and that's how our brains are wired, because if we wouldn't focus, we would be dead. We would get run over by a car, and so focus is a very important thing, isn't it? However, I'm inviting you to also look at the white space, which we tend to miss. And in designing your life, we call this white space pregnant with possibility. So going forward, and I've done this with 16-year-olds and we've done this with 66-year-olds, there's always white space in our lives. There's always space pregnant with possibility for us to build and create from here and fill it in with shapes and colors and everything else. Now, I have another prompt for you, and that is I'm going to ask you, when you think of a piece of art not yet started, what do you think of? In the chat, when you think of a piece of art not yet started, what comes to your mind? Any, Ria?
Canvas, blank sheet, clean
Yep,
start.
lovely.
There's
So,
much to do,
yes. So,
lots of color.
okay, so a piece of art that's not yet started is a canvas. Yes, totally. And I'm going to ask you for another work of art that's not yet started. And yes, canvas is absolutely one of them, but think of another form. Okay, should I give it?
Someone says statue, someone says
Ah,
clay.
so what about this? This is a piece of art not yet started, and this is what it ended up with. Now, what does this have to do with life design? Take 3 seconds to think. In the first one, we added color, shape, form, and fill the canvas. In the second metaphor, or in the second raw material, or the block of stone, we subtracted to end up with a work of art. And as a metaphor, my question to you, and you can note it down, but think about it at home, is at this stage in life, what is the stuff that you want to add into your life so it becomes even more beautiful? And what is that you want to subtract so that it becomes beautiful, as the statue of David here? And in different stages and phases and contexts of life, we add or we subtract. And if we are intentional about what we're adding and intentional about what we're subtracting, given our own individual context, there is no right answer. Then we're starting to build and design more intentionally. So the whole idea of designing your life is living a life not by default, but by design. And a lot of us have grown up with a lot of default narratives, default stories, default culture, and no disrespect to any of it. We've grown up with a this is how the world works, this is how jobs work, this is how promotions happen, this is how you serve your elders, this is how you do this and don't do this, and money is the good and money is bad. All kinds of social narratives, right? And now, what we're doing here is asking ourselves to pause and reflect and ask ourselves, um, can we, and what decisions are we going to take more intentionally by design than rather than by default? And so I'm going to get you to this quote that I love, which is a very old saying, but once I let go of who I am, I'm open to the possibility of who I might be. And this is actually sounds nice and innocuous and harmless and lovely code, but it's very tough to let go of who we are and the identities and the narratives and the stories we've built over the years and years and decades. But can we let go of some that are not serving us? Can we look at white spaces for possibility? Can we subtract to make things even more beautiful? Because in this liminal, which is the in between stages of our lives, in this stage of our life, we want to pivot to perhaps a new identity, perhaps a new vocation, perhaps shifting from vocation to avocation, perhaps just to more excitement and adventure we want to continue, and perhaps to more peace and equanimity. But these are all design decisions if we want to do in a structured way. By structure, I mean in an intentional way through a series of reflections and actions. So designers do reflection followed by action and go back to reflection and then do action. They don't just keep doing and they don't keep sitting and intellectualizing. So designers do both. All right. So with that, a quick introduction. This is Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. I won't spend much time on this. Google it. There's a lot of stuff. They're the original people 15 years ago wrote the book, which became a bestseller, became a course, became a bestseller at Stanford University, one of their most powerful electives. Just last month, they released their new book, and I recommend or invite you to acquire it. It's How to Live a Meaningful Life by Bill and Dave, and again using design as a lens. So what Bill and Dave have brought to us is the lens of design for life design. We've looked at life through the lens of philosophy, through psychology, through theology, religion, and there are multiple ways to look at life and through different lenses, all of them useful. Their contribution and what I like is that life is actually a design project. You can't philosophize your way forward. You can't compute. You can't calculate. You keep building iteratively like a designer does and see if it's working, see if it's beautiful, make the changes and iterate and then take one more step forward. And so, what we are doing is inviting you to be a designer. And you don't need to know the craft of design, graphic design, or interior design, but the tools and mindsets of a designer, because life is in so many ways a design project. It's what we cannot predict, and we do not have equations, emotions and the complexity of life. So we build and we iterate. And how can we use design to even create meaning in our lives is their next book. So I invite you to read it. DYL is in 600 universities around the world. We've had a great time doing multiple cohorts in India, both at college level and with adults. In these cohorts, you'll see some 60-year-olds. We've seen people who have had amazing careers in the 50s, 60s. Everyone comes, and it's so refreshing actually for them to meet the young people and the young people to meet. We don't keep it age wise, and everyone learns from everyone. I'm personally teaching this as a 10-week course at Ashoka University, a 5 full day course at the Indian School of Business, blah, blah, blah. So it's life design. We can spend the next 6 months on it, or we can next spend the next 60 minutes on it. But I'd like to invite you to at least start to consider this framework. All right, so it's a framework. I won't get into too much of jargon here, but the important thing is it's not management pop literature. It's rooted in science, validated at a leading university by professors, and it's predicated on lots of work. The journey, in short, goes like this. You start from where you're at, and that's empathy for self. And we'll get into that in greater detail as we move along. Empathy for self to getting unstuck, which is reframing limiting beliefs, which is what we'll do a little bit of today. Understanding the science of well-being and flourishing, and what has research shown in terms of what people are after. Noticing our energy, engagement, and flow. These are embodied experience. The body tells us what lights us up and what we find meaningful and interesting and worthwhile. And then we go into an innovative zone and a creative zone of imagining multiple possible futures. Then we'll pick elements from a possible future and test and prototype. Now, this is a long journey. I'm just going to introduce you to it. Like I said, we'll give you readings. And those of you who would like to engage very deeply, happy to do that offline. Today, I'm introducing you to these concepts, right? So as you're going to do life design, I'm going to invite you to think of what's your metaphor of life and just spend a moment here. And now that you're shifting gears in life, and I'm assuming you already have, or you're about to, well, do you want to shift metaphors? So till now, was life a race to be won and you got faster and better? Was it a game to be won and to be played and enjoyed? Was life, problem solving? Was it a journey? Has life been a dance for you? Letting your hair down, enjoying the music, and just being And or do you think you've been in the matrix and there's no free will, or has life been a life of service and nurturing and gardening? The provocation here is, if you've been in metaphor A and you in this next phase of life you want to move to metaphor B or C or D, then how do we do that? A lot of us have spent our lives thinking, or at least the way the society works, education works, it's problem solving, it's a race to some extent, to a large extent, and we compete and we get better, and we fortify ourselves and we sharpen the saw. And maybe at some later stage in life, we want to pivot to life being a life of service to others, to nurture, to garden, or to just enjoy life as a dance now going forward, and yet finding it meaningful. So think about, as homework again, what's your metaphor of life? And if you want to shift metaphors, what would it take to shift from metaphor A to B? And you may not have thought of it very intentionally, but your body and your mind and soul and spirit is giving you hints. You don't want to be in the race anymore. You don't want to be playing these games, or you don't want to be problem solving, or you don't want to be whatever, and what you want to be doing. And so that's another uh, uh, reflection I'd like you to do for your homework, and we can talk more about it. So this is what I'm inviting you to do, is think of life's metaphor and to go from A to B, and how you design that journey and this transition and the activities, habits, practices, and identity. We'll do it intentionally because we now want life to be a dance, perhaps. And the actions that you'll take is, for me, life's now one where I'd like to serve and give back and take all my accumulated experiences and resources. And well, my consulting company, which we've been running for 30 years, we've done 2 rounds of venture capital. We set up in China, in Singapore, acquired our parent company in USA. It's been a race, it's been a game, it's been problem solving, it's been everything and more, and exciting, and I have no regrets. But now, what I'm doing today and why I've been standing up 8, 10 hours a day teaching young folks in these universities is I'd like to give back and serve, and share my learnings with them. And I've been really fortunate that Stanford agreed to support us in this mission. So this is a mission for me now. Of course, I'm in the zone where it's spiritual evolution now, meditating and vipassana and everything else, so we can have multiple metaphors and our design decisions. Now I'm going to further shift gears, and I'm going to introduce this concept of, many of us, and you can think, did you see decline at some point as age went by? And research and evidence has shown that typically we
Yes, Ria Vinita has something.
Yeah, so we have a question from Vinita. How do you handle disengagement from something you were passionate about earlier?
Right, Vinita, thank you. So, how do you handle disengagement from something that you were passionate about earlier? Okay, so let's unpack that. A, and I don't know the context, how passionate, for how long, etc., etc., but just a general answer is that as we move through life, we also start to express different sets of values. By values, I don't mean integrity and honesty, but for example, creativity, adventure, wealth. These are values. So if your values have shifted and what motivates you in life, you might feel a little disengaged. That's one. The second is there's a nice, as they say, this is a lovely thing or an observation. It says that you might be passionate about something, but that's something you might love your passion, but the passion must love you back. So what we have seen as one of the biggest reasons for feeling disengaged with passion or an early passion was that we love that passion, but that passion didn't love us back. And the passion doesn't love us back sometimes because we don't put in the effort. We don't put in the discipline and we don't do the training, because you have to get reasonably good at something to remain passionate about it. And the third thing is it just could be, a stage in life or a limiting belief that's gotten you disengaged. So one will have to unpack that in more detail.
So not a question as such, but someone would like to contact you for at a later date for, some questions stuff. So if you could
More
share
than happy,
email.
more than happy to be of any help and service and assistance. Um, there's tons of stuff. There is, here are the coordinates. Swati will, of course, be sharing homework and all other resources with you via email, Swati.
Yes, yes.
And if you want more resources or you want to pursue this framework in greater detail, um, we can point you to the Stanford site and any other podcast sites, books. So feel free to get in touch, and I'm happy to share.
Devjit has asked how to improve human revolution within someone. Human revolution within someone, which would be better thinking for others, society. Maybe this is alluding to empathy. Devjit, is that correct?
Others, society. I'm sorry, Devjita, but if someone can help.
In the meantime, Devjit, if you could clarify in the chat a little further. In the meantime, Sitanshu
Okay.
says, how
Yeah.
to motivate once you are in retirement.
Right. And that's a great question, Sudhanshu. And, you know, there's a series of activities and things we need to do. Motivation comes from several different avenues. And so we have to start to explore what will motivate us, because we can't be sitting and feel motivated. We have to have purpose and we have to have purposeful action to feel motivated. We have to give expression to some of our values which have not been expressed. We have to be of maybe of service to others. Maybe we want to take our wisdom and share it with someone. So the crux of the question is not how to feel motivated, but who are you and what motivates you? And then it becomes easier to feel motivated and to move in that direction. So my urging to you is take a step back and ask and do the experiments, and there's a values exercise we are sending you. What motivates you? Once we know that, then we know how to feel motivated in that sphere. Okay. Go ahead.
We are 2 minutes, a minute from losing Navyug, and
Okay. All right,
I
everyone.
just want you to end with your closing comments, and then
Yeah.
we'll take up in the next session.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the resources and other things. We'll send it to Swati. All of you do that.
I've just shared it in the chat as well. So those who are
Chat
here.
as well. There's homework to get deeper into some of these questions. Then next time we'll ask you from getting unstuck to getting innovative. That's what designers do. And we look forward to you in the next session. And in the meanwhile, if you feel free to send lots of questions, because I know we have limited time, we'll be happy to offline or through email even answer or give some thoughts, ideas, resources for your questions. Okay, just to make this valuable, it's not a Gyan session, it's a design session. So we want you to do, we want you to reflect, we want you to ask, we want you to communicate, and we want you to engage, and we are happy to. So that some shifts happen and something comes. It's not, design is not about knowledge, it's about action and reflection, and happy to be part of that.
Navyug, and I urge all of you to join us in the next session too, because I think you will find it really meaningful and helpful. I will be sharing a lot of resources with you, so please engage with it and be back with us next Friday. Navyug, thank you. Thank you, Ria, for all your help. And I will see you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, thank you for everything.
Bye, everyone. Navyug, your session was great.
Thank you.
And it has come to me at a very good time in my life.
I see.
Yeah.
No, I really would love to engage deeper and more, and I'm so happy you're saying that. So let's do that. And if I can be of any assistance, happy to.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Swati, for organizing it.
Thank you, Chanda. See you next time.
Yes, sure.